Hey everyone, if you've ever tried using AI to build your app or your SaaS, you probably relate to this. You get the core product working, the features are working well, but the app still doesn't look great. It has that AI generated vibe, or AI slop as some people like to say. And then you realize it's not just the UI that looks generic. It extends out to everything, like your fave icon, your open graph or OG images, your layout, your branding, everything. All of these just look generic and mismatched, and your app just doesn't land with users. And if you're like me, most of the time I'll just go online, grab some random tool, and hope that I can whip together something that looks good, but it never really works because these tools do not understand your code base, they don't understand your brand, they don't understand your components, your colors, and the identity that you're actually trying to build. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I solved this problem easily using Claude Code Skills. One of the skills redesigns your entire front end. You can go from something that looks generic to something that looks really intentional and branded. The second one generates proper open graph OG images from your code base. So these are the preview cards that show up when you share your app on Twitter or X, Discord, Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever. The third skill creates your fave icons that matches your brand. These icons are tiny, but they matter. So stop with the default Next.js or lovable icons. Definitely stay till the end of this video because I'll be showing you a skill creator skill that enables you to build other skills that relate to your task that you're trying to do. If you want the exact skills and prompts that I'm using today, I've made them completely free inside my Insiders Club. You also get a weekly newsletter and a Notion page that contains a lot of material related to all my videos. And if you want to take things a step further, that's inside builderpack.ai. It's my entire toolkit, includes source code, prompts, configurations, sub-agents, and everything that I use to build the apps in this channel. And if you get the all access pass, you get bonus materials such as behind the scenes footage, additional videos, a private Discord community, as well as other nice perks such as API credits and subscriptions. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with today's tutorial. Let me just show you how the app looked like before I use Claude Code Skills to improve it. So you can see this is Tiny PRD, and it's a micro SaaS that I'm building that will allow you to create better PRDs that you can feed into your AI agents to build stuff. If you've seen my other videos, you recognize the importance of having a really good starting point. So for example, if you just say a habit tracker where users can log daily habits and see their streaks, and you just give this to an AI agent, you'll get something, but it will infer and make a lot of assumptions of what you want. And most of the time you get something fairly generic. And a lot of times when you use other PRD generators, they'll give you silly things like 2 weeks to do this, 5 weeks to do this, and all that kind of stuff, which does not apply when you're working with AI coding agents. I'll be doing a separate video of what this is capable of, but right now I want to focus on the design. So you can see here the original design that was created, and I actually spent a bit of time to do a bit of extra things to make this look a little bit better, but ultimately it still doesn't look that great. And I just want to use this as a clear demonstration of why Claude Code Skills are so helpful. If you head on over to the official Anthropic Skills repository, you will see that they have a skill called front-end design. And it's a very simple skill. It's just a couple of lines long, but the effect it will have on your app is really good. Let me just show you the end result, and then I'll show you how to actually go about using this. And here you go. Can you see that it now has a much more unique looking web design? It has this nice selection of colors. It has this nice background effect. It has added very stylistic themes to the text fields and all the buttons. And overall, this just looks a lot better. And I managed to get to this stage just with a single prompt and with a single skill. It has completely revamped the entire website to look a lot more consistent, yet maintaining the content and kind of the overall structure of the website. Let me just switch back to the original design snapshot. Okay, so this is the before. And what I just did was, you can see the skills over here. So what you want to do is, very simply, you can clone this entire repository and then get hold of this front-end design skill. But I'm going to do something really quick. Hop over here and create front-end design. And then you can just copy the skill.md and paste it in here. It's always good practice to also include the license that it comes with as well. Okay, so now that you have both of them here, what you want to do is just start off Claude. And if you just want to double confirm that it has picked up this skill, you can say, what skills are you aware of? Okay, and this will kick off any of the skills that you have over here. And as you can see here, I have several other skills related to front-end components, LLM API integration, Next.js backend API. I've been using these skills to build several of my projects as well. And if you want to learn more about this, you can see some of my other videos or check out my builder pack, which contains all of the source code for all of the projects and on how to use this as well. So we'll just give this a second to complete. And as you can see here, it's aware of the following skills in the project. So very quickly, you will see that it knows about the 7 skills I have here. And the main thing I'm going to show you is this front-end design skill. And let me just show you how easy it is. I exported the exact transcript that I used to create that new design. And you can do this using the export command. You can save it to the clipboard or to a file. I like to do this because whenever I'm building my tutorials, I want you to be able to have the exact prompts that I used to get the same results. All right, the prompt that I used here was the following. Use the front-end design skill to revamp my site to be more unique, drive engagement, be eye-catching, have a touch of indie yet professional. If you fire this off right now, you will see that Claude will confirm that it will use the front-end design skill. You do not need to explicitly say you want to use the front-end design skill. If you had just said, change my front-end and revamp it to be more unique, etc., Claude Code will know to pick it up. But I find that it's often very useful to explicitly lay it out so that you ensure that you use the right skill. So I'm going to let these run off now. And just to show you the final result one more time, this is the latest version I have here. So this is a different run and I was doing for the recording of this video. And I must say, I might actually switch my design over to this one because it does a little bit better in terms of capturing the style that I was going for. But this is the one that I've gone with my previous run. But you can see this front-end design skill is very versatile and can give you some really good uplift to your applications as well. I'm still not quite complete with the features that I have over here. I might have to actually block signups by the time this video gets released, in case I'm not fully done with the app just yet. But speaking of not being ready, there are a couple more things that you will notice when you are launching your app you want to get sorted. So if you go to Twitter and you put in, say, a link to your SaaS, you want this image that gets generated over here to represent your brand. If you don't have this set up, and you can see this is my other site that I had to manually create this in Canva in the past, whereas this one that you see over here is dynamically generated for you based on this OG image creator skill that I'm going to show you over here. This version of the website does not have any OG image. So it's going to have this really unsightly preview over here. This one that was generated with AI based on my code base looks a lot better. A lot of other OG image creators ask you to provide some information about it, but does not really capture the essence of what your website does. This one is different because this one is a smart OG image creator that studies your code base, understands all the different routes of your page and your brand identity before creating these images using Playwright and React components. And the reason why using Playwright and React components are so good is because it will be able to render your pages using the components that exist within your actual website. And then it will use Playwright to render it and then take a screenshot of it so that when it ends up being posted, it will be able to look great and resemble what your website looks like. And the good thing is that because they are React components, they are all dynamic. So you can see all these subscriber counts and total views and everything all appears within the OG image itself. And if you need some convincing about why these OG images are so important, you can check out this post by Peter Levels, or Levels.io as he's known on Twitter, about how important having OG images are, right? 90% of people don't do it, and it's crazy. You will get way more clicks with it. And so you can see in this case, he created it in such a way that when you post a link to fly.peter.com, it gives a much nicer rendering as opposed to just some blank text. When you are starting to post your SaaS onto X or any social media platform like Facebook, you will want it to look really compelling and effectively sell it on first class. Remember, people's attentions are quite short, so you want to be able to capture their attention. This skill is really useful, and like I said, it's optimized in such a way that it will use your branding. So let me actually do this right now. So let me take this OG image creator skill. All right, so I'm going to paste it here. And then all you need to do is to just fire up Claude. And then I'm just going to make sure that I'm using Sonnet. And I think all I need to do is that generate OG images for my app, maintaining visual style and branding. And that's all you need to do. This skill will then be able to make use of some of the scripts it has here to analyze your code base, understand the branding, understand the different routes that your app has, and it will create OG images, not just for your homepage, but for every single route that you have. So we're going to leave this to run, and then we'll draw back once it's been completed. So just show you very quickly, for the builderpack.ai OG images, you can see it created the homepage one for this main homepage. And because it was able to study each and every one of the different routes that I have. So for example, if I go to Claude over here, this is going to be about the code builder pack. It knew to create a Claude specific one as well. And then if I go to, say, the Codex one, we will go to there's a Codex branded one, and it has one more for the 80K. So you can see 80K over here. All right. So I spent a lot more time on the homepage one because that's the main one, but you can see these already use the same branding, logos, colors, and overall design of your page. And this is why this skill is particularly effective compared to many other OG image creators that I've seen out there. So that was the builder pack one. Let's see how the tiny PRD one turns out at the end. All right, so here we are. The OG image generator has now completed. You can see it has studied the logo, the taglines, and the signature color palette in order to generate the OG image for this. And it also was able to understand that perhaps you want to be able to do it for individual PRDs based on the titles as well. We don't want that functionality for now, so all I did was I told it to just focus on generating just the static versions of the images. So let's just take a look at it here. So here you can see this is looking pretty good. If you remember how the generated one looked like, so this version over here, this is a really good looking OG image. There's some formatting issues over here, but overall, this is matching the design of the website already. This is a really good starting point. And for any minor changes that you want to do over here, you can switch the model to Haiku, and I'm just going to use Whisper here. There's a small issue with the OG home. Can we have the tiny PRD logo removed from the bottom and placed in the top right-hand corner, or replacing the center large icon so that it doesn't overlap with the subtext? Great. Let's hope that works. But overall, you can see this is really maintaining your branding, your text, your style, and because it uses Playwright as well as the React components that you have in your code base, it looks as close to your actual website as possible. So we'll see if this is going to be able to fix this. I had to fix this for my Builder Pack 1 as well. But, oh, okay, so that you can see it has fixed it. It has put the logo at the top right-hand corner so that it no longer overlaps with the subtext that you see over here. And just to re-emphasize, this design that you see here was live done as part of this video recording. I have no plans to use this, but I might actually end up using this now. And you can see over here, we have the generated OG image. So now when I post this on Twitter or when I actually start marketing this, I will be able to use this and it's all ready to go. And all it took was just 2 prompts, as you saw, because of this generate OG skills. So hopefully you've seen the value of this skill along with the other ones. But let me just show you one skill which I think is important to take note of. Every time you launch your app, especially if you build it with Next.js, you have this really irritating thing where you will have to replace the fav icon that you see over here. You can search on Google and there's like plenty of different fav icons generators and all that kind of stuff. But the problem with these generators is that they oftentimes do not take the context of your project as it designs it, right? It just allows you to either upload an existing image or you will have to just create it from scratch using some text or some emojis. Wouldn't it be great if you had a Claude Code skill over here that could generate a fav icon for you based on your code base and the context of what your app actually does? And that's the next skill that I'm going to show you right over here. All right, so on to the favicon-generator. So you can see this is builderpack.ai. And what I wanted to do was to create something that would resemble the icon that I had over here. So previously I had a different favicon, and it was just really bugging me. And the way I generated it was just an SVG image, and it didn't really work very well for me. So I actually created a favicon generation skill, and it created 2 things for me. So the first thing it created for me was this interactive favicon creator. And this is actually really good because you can actually change this to different icons that you can see over here. And you can also use emojis if you like that kind of stuff. And the other thing you can do is you can use different letters, so maybe BP for Builder Pack, and you can change the colors to match what you're looking for. It's fully functional, so you can change the gradient colors. And this is just a really nice skill that you can see over here. But the real thing that I wanted was I wanted it to be able to analyze the code base and then create favicons based on the code base over here. So the real interesting bit is this generate favicon.python file. So you will actually create professional favicons using Python libraries. So these are the largest ones. So you can see this is really nice looking. It matches the logo and the design on my website. And I had to iterate on how this favicon generator skill works. And this is the thing that I've learned is that if you use the skill creator, it can get you quite far. But as I will be mentioning to you later on, what I needed to do was to create a skill creator plus, which is an enhanced version of the skill creator that I think does a better job of creating skills that are related to the projects that we want. And this skill creator plus is also included in my Claude Code Builder Pack if you want to get hold of it. But the main thing here was that in earlier iterations, I wasn't able to get this to look quite right. So if you look at the favicon-generator here, and one of the things that I found was that if you use something called Lucid React, it's really useful to be able to use those icons as part of your design, because if it tries to use SVG to recreate some of these things, it doesn't turn out quite as well. So this is an optimized favicon generator that has created the following favicons that you see over here. And I found that this works really well. So you can choose to use this interactive version that it also generated as part of the skill so that you can do it very quickly. But the other thing where its strength really lies is if you use the skill itself. So let me just show you an example over here. All right. So the way that I would do it is I would launch Claude Code and I will say, please generate fave icons for my project based on my branding. Any icons already used, maintaining visual style and branding. Okay. So this is a sample prompt that you can use with this. And you can see in this case, I didn't mention anything about using the fave icon generator skill, but it's able to know to use this one. So this is where the skill comes in handy. So rather than you trying to create one yourself using the template creator here, which it's very useful, I think letting Claude Code use the inbuilt functions over here allows you to create really nice looking fave icons that look good, are not broken. The first time I ran this for my builderpack.ai site, it was able to get pretty far, and then I just had to add some additional prompts just to make sure that it got the right logo that I wanted. And the end result is something that I'm very pleased with, and this skill will generate all of the different sizes for you, as well as how it will look like on mobile. And it will also create the SVG version, so the vector version of it, and the ICO version of it as well. So this is a very useful skill. The reason why I like it in this form is that you don't have to mess around with an editor and then decide on the icons manually. In this case, there's a fixed number of icons. Instead, you just let it run and then it will be able to create you fave icons straight away within your project. And you can see this is the run that it's come up with right now. So it's created a very similar one, just with a slightly different tone of the gradient. And it creates all of the different versions for you. And you can very easily just prompt it to say, oh, you know what, you want it a bit brighter or you want it to have a slightly different look. So that's this skill. And it might be a very small, minor detail, but these things do matter, right? So that's the fave icon generator. Now, the final skill that I'm going to talk to you about is something called the skill create plus. And this is an extended version of what Anthropic has. So you will see that there are many ways of creating skills in Claude. You can very simply just try to build it yourself based on the template. But what they do recommend you doing is use something called the skill creator, which does exactly like what you said. It's just a guide for creating effective skills. So use whenever you want to create a new skill or update existing skill. What I did was I found that this skill creator is pretty good, but I decided to improve upon it with something called Skill Creator Plus. So you will see here is an enhanced version, and it embodies a bunch of different philosophy. It incorporates different philosophies and design patterns so that it ends up creating skills that are a lot more relevant and a lot more usable. So for example, the skills that you saw in this video, you should be using the Skill Creator Plus skill to create them. And I found good success in using this enhanced version. And there are other ways that you can create it. So you can also ask your agent or your AI to look at some sample skills. But I did spend a bit of time looking at some reference skills, some good ones, and then incorporating it all into a single Skill Creator Plus skill. And with this skill over here, it's really simple. And the good thing about it is that, for example, let's say we want to create a new skill now. All right. What I'm going to do is just make this a little bit bigger, close this down so you can see it, and just see if I can shut this on the side. All right. So here's how you use it. Create a skill to build a skill for setting up SEO metadata for a given project based on its code base. All right. And let's just wait for this to kick off. All right. So you can see, and you can see I actually used up my session usage. I have 12 minutes, so I'm going to have to come back to let this run. So I'll have to let this run and come back a bit later. All right. So thankfully, it was able to reset in a couple of minutes, so I can actually get back to working on this. I also took a chance to update Claude in the meantime. The reason why is that I believe that now, even if you're on the Pro plan, you get access to Opus. So with that, we should be able to do some really good stuff. So use the Skill Creator Plus skill to create a skill that can help my web app optimize for SEO, meta tags, search rankings, etc. based on the existing code base. All right, so that's what I wanted to show earlier. And you will see it's going to go thinking. And now it knows that it has to use the skill creator plus skill. Okay, and so with this, when you let this run, this will utilize the enhanced prompts and the different kind of references and the different kind of like philosophies and like anti-patterns and all of the different things that will help you to end up with a, in my experience at the very least, a much better skill creator. So this skill creator is really useful because I use this to create all of my skills now, and it tends to result in skills that are a lot more effective. This skill creator is part of my builder pack. So anyway, that brings us to the end of today's tutorial. So the whole point of today's tutorial was to show you the usefulness of Claude Code Skills, especially when you're building an app. And I wanted to really focus on practical skills that are not too complicated, but would really be useful for you as you build your next AI application, your next SaaS, or your next project. So things like being able to create favicons in your project, as well as creating your OG images for you. Not forgetting that you can use some of Anthropic's own out-of-the-box skills like the front-end designer to completely redesign your app to give it that uplift that it needs. As you can see here, I've been working on a lot of different skills, and you can really take this one step further. For example, I have this YouTube thumbnails skill, and you can make use of this AskUserQuestion tool to enhance your skills, to be able to ask questions to get more information. For example, if I just kick this up here and I say, use the YouTube titles thumbnail tool to create titles and thumbnails for this code base. So I've been playing around a lot of skills, and I do think that they are a really big step forward in terms of how it actually provides a lot of practical value for you as a developer. And I think a lot of people are still on the fence, especially with what's been happening with, say, MCP and sub-agents. And there is a bit of a learning curve with sub-agents to get them to work correctly. And there are a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to be using MCP servers because they clog up your context and things like that. But skills have shown to be extremely lightweight, extremely easy to use, and they're very practical. So back to this, you can make use of the AskUserQuestion tool to allow your skill to ask the user questions. So you can see what type of video is this? Is it a tutorial, analysis, or opinion? You can say, what are your audiences? Are they beginners? Are they just broad tech audiences? What is the hook that you want and the priority? And you can customize your skills such that it prompts the user to provide a little bit more information so that your skill can be applied in a much more better context. So hopefully this has been useful for you. I'll be putting out a lot more content on skills because I do think that they are very lightweight, they're easy to understand, and they can give you really big returns. So if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and remember to turn on notifications so that you'll always be the first to know when new content like this drops. And if you haven't seen my last video where I took Opus 4.5 to the test just to see how powerful it is, you might want to check out this video over here. Anyway, till next time, I'll be seeing you.